Welcome, everybody. I'm Marc David, founder of the Institute for the Psychology of Eating. We're in the Psychology of Eating podcast once again, and I'm with Alison today. Welcome, Alison.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yay, I'm glad we're here. I'm glad we're doing this. If you could wave your magic wand and get whatever you want with food and body, what would that be for you?
Just feeling good about all of it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Meaning what? What is it? What would make you feel good?
I would like to not have to worry so much about my body or what I'm going to eat, when I'm going to eat. It just takes up so much of my time and my energy to be so consumed with all of it.
So what's the challenge for you, just being a person who eats and not wanting to think about what to eat or cooking or anything like that? Where's the challenge for you?
Well, for the last 20 years, I've been at the hands of various doctors on diets and exercise programs that haven't gotten me anywhere. And so I've counted carbs, counted calories, counted everything for so long, and have become such an expert at doing all of the cooking, keto and this and that, and, everything that it's so complicated and it's become so hard, and with nothing ever working to actually, lose any pounds off of me. I've kind of fallen into the spiral of despair. And now I used to be this person who loved food and I've always eaten really, really healthy. And now I just hate thinking about it. I hate even having to think about going in the kitchen to make food for my family. And I'm an amazing cook and everyone loves my cooking. So, and I know how to cook really well and really healthy. But I've come to the point where I just hate it. And that's also starting to make me not like myself. And I've never really had that problem before, where I'm almost 50. I'll be 50 in a year. And I keep thinking, oh, well, this is just going to be it. And I had a cardiologist who told me that I was perfectly healthy, except for my weight. But he just thought I needed to suck it up and be okay being a big girl.
Mm-hmm. So how long have you been wanting or trying to lose weight?
For 20 years.
20 years. So right around when you were 30-ish. So previous to those 20 years, how was your weight for you?
I was very healthy weight. I never had any issues at all. I weighed 110 pounds, and then I got pregnant when I was about 27 with our first child, and that we lost that pregnancy. And after that pregnancy, I started to gain weight, and I could never stop gaining weight. And with every pregnancy, I put on more and more and more weight, and never could seem to get it off. And ended up gaining about 120 pounds.
How many kids have you had since then?
5.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. I have one child, and that always used to feel like a lot. I couldn't imagine how people did it with 2, let alone 3 or 4 or 5. Good for you.
Oh, thank you. It's fun.
Are any of them still at home?
Well, I have a 21-year-old who actually lives in an apartment in our house. And I have one who passed away from brain cancer when he was 13. And then I have 3 that are still home with me, ranging in ages from 17 down to 12.
You've not had a completely easy life as a mom and as a parent.
No, I haven't. No.
Yes. I'm sorry for your losses. I truly am. And, for you to be able to be here and still smile and still be a dedicated mom, good for you. That says a lot about you.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. Right before my son was diagnosed with brain cancer, I actually did a starvation diet, and I lost down to about 140 pounds. very quickly. And I took a supplement that supposedly helped me do that. But of course, after he got diagnosed and we were in the hospital all the time for the next 4.5 years, I just gained it all back.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the only thing that's ever helped, is a starvation diet where I was only eating 500 calories a day.
Yes, which is unsustainable.
No,
Starvation is unsustainable. So
yeah.
I'm glad you're not trying that anymore. And I just want to say, if I was in your shoes, I think if anybody was in your shoes and you're trying to lose weight for 20 years, you're getting all kinds of professional help and you're doing all kinds of diets and you're expending a lot of energy and you're putting out a lot of effort and you're getting what sounds like or feels like expert advice and it's not working. I would start to resent food. I would start to resent being an eater. And I wouldn't feel so great. So all I'm saying is I can understand how you would be frustrated at this point. So what I want to suggest is just in my thinking, when I'm in a conversation around weight and weight loss, I think what most people don't realize, whether it's a layperson and especially professionals, we are in the dark ages when it comes to the science and the psychology of weight and its loss. The main approach is eat less and exercise more. Mm-hmm. And then you'll get variations on that theme, which is, well, no, eat a paleo diet or a vegetarian diet or a vegan diet or whatever it is. And they either work or they don't. And it depends on the person. And I think each person's weight journey, their journey with weight, their journey with their body, with food, I think each person's weight loss journey is extremely unique and different. And there's no formula for it. So when I'm listening to your story, and similar to so many weight loss journeys in that I've tried all these things and nothing worked. So where my mind goes immediately is, okay, that stuff doesn't work. That's not quite the road we need to go down. So manipulating the food on your plate has not worked.
Right.
So that tells me that if it was me working with you, I'm going to look to stop manipulating the food on your plate and see what else is there to talk about, what else is there to explore. Mm-hmm. So ideally, at the very least, where I would love to see you get to is to, in a strange way, not throw out the baby with the bathwater, meaning let's at the very least get you to a place where you can begin to be an eater again and enjoy your relationship with food and enjoy cooking and enjoy being a human being who enjoys food.
Yes, I would love that.
Yes. So food is not your problem as far as we can tell, because you've tried a lot of diets. And you can try 20 more diets and 20 more specialty ways of doing things. I literally don't know if that's the road for you, but my instincts and my spidey senses say, probably not.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something that caught my attention, which is that for many human beings, not all, but many people who have a weight gain, oftentimes there's a precipitating event. Not always for people. Sometimes when there's a weight gain that, wow, this weight gain happened and it's not coming off, there's often a precipitating experience that happens, and it's usually a stressful event. And you shared with me that after you lost your child in your first pregnancy, that's when the weight gain came on.
Yes.
I can't imagine a more stressful experience than for two parents and a mama to lose a baby that you've been carrying. Mm-hmm. And I'm just wondering if you've ever even considered that connection for yourself, if you've thought about it.
I have, and I did actually go to a counselor for a while to try to, kind of flesh that out a little bit. And it didn't really go anywhere as far as, helping me with this issue, unfortunately. But I don't know if we used the right approach, so just because you went to a counselor doesn't necessarily mean that they're doing what needs to be done, so.
Yes, exactly. It doesn't mean they're doing what needs to be done. And it doesn't mean also that you're ready to unwind yet.
Yeah.
Or your body's ready, your soul's ready, your being is ready. When you think back to that experience, what happens for you? Do you still feel grief there?
I think I always will. And I think it's compounded because I've actually lost a teenage child as well. I think that losing my son to cancer at the age that he was 13. I think that kind of heightened my grief for all of my lost pregnancies. I actually had 5 miscarriages total. So I think I grieve all of those children even more so. But I do remember back when I first had the miscarriage, that very first one, I remember being so angry that I had heard something on the radio about a woman who had abused her baby. And I won't go into what she did, but I remember pulling over the car and feeling so incredibly angry that she was given a child and abused her child. And my child was taken away from me. And I know that I carried that anger for a very long time. I don't feel that anger so much anymore, but I do feel the grief of that.
And I think, Alison, it's a wise thing that you said, when I asked you about the grief, and you said, I think I'll always have that. And I believe it's true for so many human beings. When we lose anyone close to us and we're grieving, the grief can come up in any given moment. I lost my grandparents when I was a teenager, and when I think of them, I can still cry and I can still mourn, and it feels like yesterday. I get transported back in time. So there's a place where we learn to bring our grief with us. What I'm wondering for you is, and this is a wondering, and this is me trying to be a detective with you in the interest of helping you get where you want to go. And what I've noticed is that for a lot of human beings, weight has nothing to do with something's wrong with my metabolism. Weight has nothing to do with I eat too much. And weight has everything to do with what's happening and what's happened in our emotional world. For some of us, we will refer our emotional experience into our body. And that will show up as symptom. So for some of us, if we're under a lot of stress, it'll refer to the cardiovascular system and we can have heart issues. For some of us, that stress can refer to our gut and we can have digestive issues. For some people, stress or trauma or undigested emotions can show up as weight gain and weight loss resistance. It's just what the body can do. Because in a strange way, one way that a body handles stress, is it often decides to get bigger.
Mm-hmm. Like protection.
Yes, it's a protection. The biggest creatures in nature are generally the ones that are most protected. Nobody's going to bug them. And it's a very different experience, I'm sure, being a 110-pound human and being a human who's 100 pounds more than that.
Right.
When you're 110 pounds, you're actually more vulnerable in a lot of ways. You can be more vulnerable physically, and you can be more vulnerable energetically. You know, certain people, certain women are going to attract more attention when they're thinner. But the bottom line is oftentimes the brain will use the body to just help create protection. So that could be a piece of it. And we don't know the exact mechanisms between a traumatic event, and you've had a number of them, relative to lost pregnancies and losing a child to brain cancer at a young age. And that's a lot of hits on the body.
Yeah.
And my wish for you would be to explore is to take all the dieting and all the manipulating of the food on your plate and let that go for a while.
Well, I did try that, and I gained 30 more pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So I did it for a month, and I gained 30 pounds in that month. I just ate what my family ate, just our normal diet, which is a whole grain, predominantly plant-based diet. And I didn't eat any more than my 12-year-old daughter, and I gained 30 pounds in that month.
How long ago was that?
That was last month.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Has there been any other time in the last 20 years where you tried that same experiment?
No. And I tried it because I started seeing a functional medicine doctor, and I was the one who actually told me to do that. She said, I just want you to just stop for a month. Yeah, I want you to just stop. I want you to just eat what your family eats, what you cook, because normally I would not eat what I would cook for my family. And so I tried it, and honestly, it's made me feel even more desperate, like hate food even more, because I can't even eat what my 12-year-old eats without packing on the pounds.
Okay, so you gained 30 pounds in that month, and then did you stop gaining?
It does seem like I've leveled out. I stopped weighing myself.
Okay, so it seems like you've leveled out. You stopped weighing yourself. Are you still eating the same diet that your family is eating?
No. No,
Now?
I've stopped doing that. Yeah.
So are you on a low calorie diet?
Yeah, I'm really pretty much just eating one meal a day. I'm back to, because I tend to go back to starving myself because that's what worked. That's the only thing that's ever worked. So I'll, and I've given things a year or 2 years, of trying them, but when they don't work, I usually revert back to starving myself and not eating.
So here's what I want to say. And your journey is more complex when it comes to a weight loss journey. It's more complex. And I want to share with you a phenomenon that you've just described, but I want to describe it from my perspective, which is there's a phenomenon that I've noticed over the years where people who legitimately have a bunch of weight to lose, and they have been on various kinds of low-calorie diets, controlled diets, low food, low calorie, low fat, low protein, low whatever. Mm-hmm. When you put them on food again, when you let them eat a normal diet, they have a weight gain right off the bat. And what happens is that weight gain then proves to their mind, you see, you were right. Food is the enemy. Food is the issue. I eat food, I get fat. I don't eat food, I starve myself. I don't get more weight than I have now. So it becomes proof to the mind. The challenge is, and this is, there's no good science behind this, But all science begins from observation. All science begins from observing, gathering data, gathering information. And then when you have enough information, you draw a conclusion. And the conclusion that I've personally drawn, watching so many people who told me a similar story to what you just said, I've been on low calorie, I ate food, I gained a bunch of weight. It's a rubber band effect from the body, because the body has been starving. The body has been feeling starved for so long. You've been feeling starved. Nobody wants to starve themselves. That's starving oneself is not how we were designed. So when you are constantly in a state, personally, emotionally, and metabolically, of underfeeding and starving, the moment you get food, your physiology, your brain is going to go, hallelujah. We're not on a desert island anymore. We're not in famine conditions, but we've been there for years. So I'm going to grab all this food and I'm going to store it as body fat and store it as body weight because there's been starvation conditions. And right. Now here we are, and it's a celebration almost. So there's a hump that you have to overcome. And it's hard because the last thing you want to do is gain more weight. Right. What I will tell you is, and I'm going to be, I'm going to say this strongly and definitively. I have never met a human being that can lose weight sustainably by starving themselves. So right now, what's happening, because that experiment didn't work, your functional medicine doctor made what I think was a great suggestion, gain weight, and naturally, of course, you're going to go, this isn't working. Let me go back to the old way. I wish I had a good analogy. It's almost like if you've been alone for a handful of days and you haven't seen anybody, and all of a sudden you see your best friend or you see your partner and you just want to talk and you talk and you can't stop talking because you haven't been talking for days. So there's this rubber band effect. You don't usually talk that much. So what I believe is that at the very least, you have to become an eater again. And I would love to see you liberate yourself from the scale, because the scale says nothing about who you are. You're Alison, you're this amazing person, you're this amazing woman and mother and human being. That's who you are.
Yeah, that's really scary.
You are not a person who needs to lose weight. You're a person who wants to lose weight, and that's fine. You're going to, I think, need to start to claim your inner voice and begin to let go of some of the outside voices of fear. If your doctors are telling you, oh my God, you have to lose weight, otherwise you're going to die, that's not a helpful mindset. I don't believe that. Unfortunately, there's a misunderstanding in the medical community when it comes to weight and health. There's a wonderful book and movement called Health at Every Size, HAES, Health at Every Size. Great book authored by a woman, Dr. Linda Bacon, and she basically brings all the research to bear that shows that you can be healthy at just about any size. In the extremes, and I mean extremes, like extreme anorexia or extreme obesity, that's when you get into problems. But within a certain range, you can have the perfect weight and be sick and diseased. You can be quote unquote 100 pounds overweight and be healthy and live a long life. Google the obesity paradox. It's a real difficult one for scientists when they actually look at all the statistics. It doesn't add up to extra weight means you're going to die. So I'm saying that because I want you to reclaim your power.
Well, I think I think it was hard. It almost was harder for me when that cardiologist was like, there's nothing wrong with you. You've got a little high blood pressure, but other than that, there's nothing wrong with you. And you'll just have to suck it up being a big girl because you're the picture of health. I almost wanted him to say, lose weight or you're going to die, because I didn't want him to say, it's okay for you to keep this weight on you. Like, I almost want it to be a desperate situation where I've got to lose it as fast as I possibly can, because then that kind of gives me an excuse to starve myself again,
right.
because it's urgent, right? I have to lose weight as fast as I possibly can. No, it's like I know what my body felt like when I was 110 pounds. I was an athlete and it felt wonderful. I don't feel good anymore. So yeah. I need to lose the weight, not because I want to look good in a bikini, but because I want to feel good and I want to feel like I can climb to the top of that mountain and do it with relative ease, because I'm not lugging around another 110 pounds. But it's almost like I crave an urgency to that. Like, I want someone to tell me that I better do it before I'm 50 or else I'm going to die,
Yes. So you haven't been told that. The universe is not going to let you off the hook easy there. And indeed, what you've been told is, hey, Alison, you're healthy. You're basically healthy. And this is, in a lot of ways, I think you have to make your relationship with weight and food and your weight loss journey, you have to sort of make it a personal growth journey, a spiritual journey, and look at what it is that I'm being asked to learn here.
Yeah.
And to me, at the very least, what you're being asked to learn right now is that urgency, oh my God, I'm going to die, I got to lose this right away, does not work, because you've been trying to lose this weight for how many years? 20. So urgency doesn't work. You've been urgent. That's not going to take you where you want to go. You can do this pattern until the day you die. And I don't want to see you do that, because I don't think it's going to get you where you want to go. So it's learning to take urgency off of the table. And what that's going to mean is you have to have a period of time where you call a ceasefire against your weight. Because right now you've been battling an enemy for 20 years.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that enemy is kind of your body. And your body is not the enemy. But it's been getting that message. You've been giving your body the message that it's the enemy. Your body fat is the enemy. Food is my enemy. And you're trying to defeat the enemy. Your appetite's going to be your enemy, because that means you're going to want to eat, and food's going to supposedly make us fat. So, and you've just proved it because you went off of all your diets and you gained weight. So it's going to take a lot of courage for you to wrap around the possibility of what I mentioned before, that your body had a rebound reaction. And I'm sure you've heard it said, sometimes when we're sick, I don't know, a cough, a cold, a flu, you get worse before you get better.
Right.
I have seen this so many times where I will take human beings who have they're eating a poor quality diet. You give them good quality foods. You give them healthy organic foods. You get rid of a lot of junk in their diet, and they get sick. Mm-hmm. And it's oftentimes because their body's beginning to detox. Their body's beginning to let go. It's unwinding symptoms. They get worse before they get better. And I think that's what's going to happen every time you start to eat like the real you, like the normal you, like a real person. That's why I want you to, I would love to see you just get rid of the scale. Don't even stop weighing yourself. Just don't even have it in the house so you're not tempted. Put it in a bag, throw it in the basement, and stop using that as the measuring tool for your happiness. Mm. You said to me, well, I just want to feel better. I want to be able to charge up the hill. I know what it feels like to be 110 pounds, and that's what I want. I'm with you there. I want to be young again. That's, I want to have all the energy that I used to have again. And we don't. And you're in a different incarnation now. And this is what this body looks like right now. And what I've noticed in working with weight over the years is that a fundamental to help any human being lose weight sustainably, like reach your natural weight in a natural way, because that's what's going to keep your natural self, is when you're doing the natural things that let your body be its natural self. In order to do that, we have to inhabit the body that we're in, as opposed to charge, I'm fighting the body that I'm in. I'm starving it, I'm dieting it, I'm rejecting it. It's kind of like you have to be a better mother to yourself. Mm. You don't look at your children and look at whatever challenge they're going through and starve them for it.
Right. Yeah.
You don't go into, I'm going to fix this by being disappointed in them and not liking them and wishing they were something different. And when they're something different, then I'm going to love them and then I'm going to feel good about them. No, you love them through whatever they're going through. And I would love to see you give yourself that. And part of that means we don't know. Like we really don't know what's going to happen with your body and its weight between now and the time you die. What I believe personally is that it is very possible, it's completely possible for you to get where you want to go. But in order to get where you want to go, you have to do differently than how you've been doing. You have to think differently than how you've been thinking. Because we just want to look at, okay, you've tried, you've put energy, you've put effort. Those things don't work. And that's why we're in this conversation, because we're exploring, okay, so what else might work? And what I'm suggesting to you is calling a ceasefire, stop attacking your body, stop weighing yourself, and love yourself through this experience.
I think it's really interesting what you've been saying. I mean, I know this is being recorded and I don't know how intimate I'm supposed to allow myself to be, but
as much as you want to.
I was actually raped when I was 13, and I went through many years up until I was close to 20 of just allowing myself to be in situations that abused my body. And I remember, and this didn't really come out when I did the counseling before for the miscarriage, but I remember when I started to gain weight after that first miscarriage, I thought I didn't think it in my head. Like just kind of that little voice inside of me felt like it was my punishment for allowing myself to be in all the situations that I'm using and abusing my body and allowing other that. This weight was, losing this child and losing this weight was now my punishment, or gaining the weight was now my punishment for all those years of abuse. And I hadn't really thought about that until I was listening to you talk and the things that you were saying and being at war with my body and, all of those things. I think that's really interesting.
Alison, that's such a powerful connection. And I say that because our story, our journey is so powerful. It defines our life experience. It defines, strangely, our metabolism in ways that we don't understand. And you were young, you were innocent, and you were a child. And you suffered a very intense trauma. And it's hard enough for us to comprehend that as adults, let alone to try to deal with that at a young age and to make sense of it.
Yeah.
And what often happens is, for human beings, the way the mind can work is when we suffer an abuse, a harm, a loss, we will often repeat that abuse in ourselves as a strange way to try to heal it. So your body was abused by another human being from the outside. And it's easy for the mind to go into, oh, okay, this is somehow my fault, and I have to keep reproducing this abuse. And now you don't put your body in harm's way like you might have done when you were young and didn't know any better. But in a strange way, the dieting is a strange form of abuse, because it's starving yourself. And every time you said the word starvation or starving yourself, my heart gets a little heavy for you, because that's just basically saying to the body, you don't deserve to be here. You don't deserve food. We're going to starve you.
Yeah. I hadn't thought of it that way before.
Yeah. So what I believe is that moving forward, I would love to see you get the kind of help and counseling where you can begin to unwind some of these things. And the goal, I'll tell you straight up, the goal in getting help to unwind these is to realize that you are not guilty. I'm just telling you what the target is, to get to the place where you're able to realize, oh, wait a second, not guilty. And because I'm not guilty, I don't need to be punished. And therefore, I don't need to punish myself. And therefore, I can love myself in figuring this out, as opposed to thinking that I have to punish myself to figure this out.
Yeah.
And that loving yourself and hugging yourself and nurturing yourself and nourishing yourself, that's the road that's going to help you reclaim your body. Because your body, in a strange way, the world didn't do a good job teaching you how to protect your body and teaching you how to inhabit it and teaching you how to deal with, okay, what do I do when I've suffered a trauma? The world didn't really help you there.
Right.
So you've never really had the experience of being an adult who can relax into your body, because you've had miscarriages and you've been abused in the past, and your response, the best response you had, was to continue to put your body in harm's way when you were young. Those are the things we want to turn around. Mm. So it's almost like and we get these opportunities in life where, sometimes we do have to do a strategic strike into the past. Not always. I can be in 100 weight loss conversations and seldom talk about a person's past. But I think what's happening for you is there's a little bit of unfinished business.
Yeah.
And maybe a better way to say unfinished business is there's places where you're hungering to grow. And to me, the places where you're hungering to grow is to inhabit your body in a loving way, where no matter what the issue is that you're facing, if you have a cold, if you have a headache, If you're dealing with extra pounds, that you're loving yourself into healing, whatever that means. If your strategy, I don't care, whatever you do from today forward to help yourself lose weight, if it doesn't have love in it, if it doesn't have kindness in it, don't do it.
Yeah.
If it's starving you, don't do it. But part of this, oddly, is learning to trust your body. What happens is you started eating food again, the body gained weight, and this became evidence, well, I don't trust my body.
Right.
So it's going to take, again, it's going to take courage. It's going to take experimentation. It's going to take willingness to trust that if you love yourself on this journey and you allow your body to become an eater again, that it will find its way. You might have a rubber band effect of your body wants to just grab onto food as weight because your body's been being starved on and off for 20 years. So we want to break that pattern, but to break that pattern, you have to break it in terms of the actual eating, but also in your mind.
Okay.
Food is your friend. It's not your enemy. Your body's your friend. It's not your enemy. And right now, your body is actually doing everything it knows how to do to protect you. So your body, when it gains weight because you eat a bunch of food, it's your body, it's literally trying to protect you. It's thinking, oh my God, great. Alison has food around. Let's just store it as fat because we know there ain't going to be food pretty soon. So your body's actually loving you by what it's doing and trying to find its balance. A useful kind of therapy for you to consider is to find a practitioner who works with trauma.
I did go through EFT, and yeah, I guess we just didn't ever touch on this. I've got a lot more trauma than I've shared with you, like from a very early age, and so we focused so much more on my early age that I never really made that connection before about this weight journey and what I've been doing for the last 20 years and how I've really been kind of sustaining the abuse of my past. That's just never made that connection.
Yes. EFT works for some people with trauma. It depends. It's different for everybody. You, I think, require just a deeper kind of work and really unpacking your story and really starting to make connections, because I just get from our conversation that you're a sensitive soul and that when you make connections, things can happen.
Yeah.
And so I think that's important to you, for you. So any practitioner that you work with, ideally, needs to be somebody who's been doing their work for a while. You're going to need somebody probably in their 50s and 60s, yeah, who have a lot of experience under their belt, who can kind of match you in age and see you from a different perspective and be able to go into your journey and your story with you. And all of that is just as a way to help you see that you suffered trauma and abuses that weren't your fault, that you are not the guilty party, that you don't need to punish yourself anymore. You don't need to be attacking your body, and your body has done nothing wrong. There's a part of you that's punishing your body for who you were when you were young.
Yeah, and I didn't realize it. I thought I'd worked through all of that stuff. I guess I just had never made that connection. It's interesting to hear you say that, like.
This is life. We do our work, and oftentimes it is done for a period of time. And then life is very cyclical. Things cycle back. It's called the myth of the eternal return. The seasons cycle back again. Your birthday comes around once a year, and once every, I don't know, 7 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever it is, we might be revisiting naturally previous times in our life just to integrate them more than we ever have. Mm-hmm. So in this conversation, I've just been listening to, okay, what's your current challenge? What's the pain for you today? And okay, you've tried all these things. It hasn't worked. Let's sort of go into the precipitating event, see what that tells us, listen to it. What does it teach us? And then, let's look at your early life. And, here's your experience. So it actually makes perfect sense to me that you've been on the journey that you've been on.
Interesting.
Given your early life, it makes perfect sense that you're still in a very intense dance with your body, learning to find peace with it. And the way you're going to find peace with your body is not by losing weight. The way you're going to find peace with your body is to find peace with your body, no matter what weight it is. Because I'm going to tell you, and I'm sure you know people like this. I meet people who are, they have what society considers the best bodies in the universe, and they're very unhappy. And they might even be suicidal. So looks and weight guarantee nothing. You're going to make peace with your body, not by losing weight. I'm not saying don't wish to lose weight. I'm not saying don't lose weight. What I'm saying is weight loss is not the royal road to peace with your body and you feeling good in your body. You've made it up that when I'm lighter, I will feel good in my body.
I have.
You will feel good in your body when you begin to forgive yourself. You will feel good in your body when you're not punishing it. You will feel good in your body when you're being an eater and eating with your family and not weighing yourself and just letting your body do what it does. You have a family that loves you. Nobody's getting rid of you because you're not losing weight. Nobody's denouncing you. And it's time to have an experience called, let's just love my body into the rest of this journey, like from this day forward.
Yeah.
That's the real scale. Am I loving myself? That's how you measure things. Does this approach, does this strategy have love in it? Does it have light in it? Does it have consciousness in it? So I know this has been a lot. I've kind of, just opened up a whole different universe, I think, of ways to start to look at things. And I've wanted to, do my best to serve you in a brief conversation.
Yeah.
But I think we've mapped out some good roads for you to walk down here.
Yes, for sure. I'm pretty amazed, actually, to tell you the truth.
Well, me too. And I do this all the time. And at the same time, it just shows us what a good conversation can do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. What a good conversation can do. And also just, I haven't convinced you of anything and twisted your arm. We've just been in a conversation. I'm giving you my thoughts and opinions, and there's certain bells that are ringing for you.
Right.
I think we do that a lot as human beings. We have an inner place where oftentimes when we hear the truth, we get it. Okay. There's something there for me. And that's what I want you to trust, because it's trusting your life. It's trusting your intuition, your instinct, your spirit, your soul. And that's a part of the process of trusting your body.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot to process.
It is.
But it's rather simple, honestly, when you think about it too. I mean, it's kind of like, I'm amazed that nobody's actually led me in this direction before, because it's rather simple, but
it is. And like I said earlier in the conversation, we are in the dark ages when it comes to the subject of weight and its loss. And I've just been fanatic over the years about just observing and watching and gathering information and looking at what works, looking at what doesn't, listening to people's stories and trying different things with people. And from that place, we can be more innovative and we can actually start to find real solutions when we couldn't find them before because we're simply thinking out of the box. So if you can sum up for me some of the things you're taking away from this conversation, what would that be for you?
Wow. Well, I definitely hear you when you're telling me that I need to come from a place of love, and that even though I thought that I was and that I have been, I've really been extending that love toward everyone else rather than toward myself. And even the things that I've done that I've thought were self-care still actually really are more like being abusive to my body because they're not really taking care of myself. Putting myself on another diet isn't taking care of myself. It's not being loving toward my body. So I hear you with that. And then I'm also, as you've been talking, really taking away, even looking at other areas of my life, of how I can start to see this pattern really playing out. Like, I'm a licensed massage therapist. I've been a licensed massage therapist since the early 90s. And yet, since I gained all the weight, I have not felt like I could practice being a massage therapist. I've kept my license up, but I have not thought that I was not good enough isn't the right way to say it, but adequate, like that somebody's going to look at me and think that I'm so unhealthy. And so therefore I can't be a massage therapist because people are going to think that I'm unhealthy, and that I'm not a good advocate for body work. And that's just kind of crazy. I mean, it's like, I hadn't really thought that I was doing that, but it just kind of like all of a sudden this light bulb has gone off over my head. Like, wow, I've not only been abusing my body, but I've also been abusing myself in other ways, keeping myself from realizing what I could be doing because of, I mean, I never would have thought of myself as not having, and I don't even know if it's an esteem issue, a self-esteem issue, because it's not like I feel like I have poor self-esteem, but it's almost like it's tied into that somehow, where I'm keeping myself down. I'm hurting myself because I'm allowing these wrong thought patterns to kind of keep going.
Yes. Bingo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then it just becomes a practice, a daily practice of each day you're going to do loving acts for yourself, whatever that means, that affirms that you're worthy, you're okay, you're lovable as you are. Yeah, you'd like to lose weight. Got it. And we love you. You love you. The people that love you. And nobody's needing you to be different. Mm-hmm. Yes, you want to lose weight, but that says nothing about who you are.
Yeah.
And your worth and your value. You're already valuable. You already have your worth. It's just about claiming it.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you. I appreciate this conversation. I appreciate you being so willing to, go deeper and uncover some goodness and some difficult places that just want love and light. And that really takes a lot of courage. And And you've just been wonderful. And I have every belief that you truly can get where you want to go. And that's going to happen by taking a different road. To me, you're laying the foundation right now for you to have your natural weight, because you're allowing yourself to be your natural self. In our natural state, we don't attack ourselves. We love ourselves. We respect ourselves. We have some dignity towards self and towards the body. That's our natural state. So as you embrace that more each day, it gives your metabolism a chance to be its natural self.
Mm. Yeah. Well, I really appreciate this so much. It's been a wonderful, wonderful experience. Like, a great opportunity just to get to talk to you and to have you say these things and to help me to think in a different way.
Thank you so much, Alison. And I really appreciate the opportunity to be of service and just to be in a good conversation that really matters. So thank you. And thanks for sharing your journey with everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome.
And thanks everybody for tuning in. Always more to come, my friends. Take care.
Hey friends, we're so happy that you've joined us for another episode of The Psychology of Eating with Marc David. Are you loving these episodes? Then simply subscribe and you'll never miss an episode again. We'd also love it if you'd leave us a comment below so we can hear more about your own journey with food and body. And if you're curious about what we offer at the Institute for the Psychology of Eating, including our internationally acclaimed coach certification training that's rooted in dynamic eating psychology and mind-body nutrition, please head on over to our website, psychologyofeating.com. Until next time, take care. And remember, having the body you want starts with loving the body you have.